Hello, my Zentangle friends. This is Barbara Langston, CZT, Certified Zentangle Teacher. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Not Perfect Zen. This is my third try on this video. The first one that I did, I forgot one setting, and so it did not record what I was doing here. And the second one, I just got a little frustrated, but I'm back and we are going to do this pattern. It's called Windmill by Hiroku Matsuo, and she is a CZT. And when I first started doing this, I was looking for a grid pattern to go on a card to give to someone. And I thought this looked really interesting, so I thought I would try it. And it looks difficult, but I finally had one of those aha moments when I was working on the tile where it clicked and I realized what I needed to do. I'm going to do this same thing, well, or close to it, but just on a 3.5 inch tile that I have cut myself. I have a few marks on here already. I've divided it in half. And yes, I used a ruler because I wanted to get it right. And then I'm going to divide it again to get this grid. So I'm going to use my brown Micron 01. Since I've already done it several times in black, I thought I would do it this way. And I'm just going to do my grid. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now across this way. Okay, so there's our grid, and that's the basis for the pattern. And once you get the grid down, well, let me show you the next step first. Okay, next we're going to take each of these boxes and divide it. But this one, then we're going to skip and go this way. So we've divided it in half. Now we're going to go alternate boxes on the next row and put our grid. Divide it, I'm sorry. Divide our grid. Again, alternate and divide it. Jump down again to this one. Okay, now we're going to do it a quarter turn, and we're going to do these other boxes the same way. Divide it in half. Okay, so that is basically step one, is to get your grid and then to get these boxes divided in half. Once you have your boxes divided, I want to show you the trick that I realized, and it made it so much easier to do. So you have these divided like this. And so for each of these squares, it's like you have 2 bricks, okay? We want to go to the top corner of the bottom brick, and we're just going to make a curve that comes down to the center of that box. and then a curve that goes to that corner. I'm going to turn and do the same thing on this box. From that corner down to the center. Now you see where they're going to meet. And then this is going to meet there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it again. I'm going to go to the corner of that box and bring it down to the center. And then this one and bring it across. That one's a little bit sloppy. But I'm going to do the same thing. Bring that around and bring it around. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Always look at your brick on the bottom brick and the top right corner. Bring that down and bring that one to the center. If I turn it, I'm going to bring that one down. Bring that one to the center. Turn again. Down. Bring that one to the center. And then on this one, I just need to do that same thing. Bring it down. And bring that one to the center. So there you go. That's how we get that pattern. So once I figured that out, that you always start in the upper right corner of the bottom brick and just make two curves. That's all there is to the pattern. Okay, so let's start it. Get this one out of the way. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, so let's start in this one. We have two bricks. I'm going to go to the bottom brick, to that top right corner, and bring it down to here. And then right next to it and bring it down to that corner. Now I have seen on the Mosaic app where I was looking to see how people were doing this, where they did straight lines, but I'm going to make mine into the circle like it is in the step outs. Okay, so my next brick in this row, down to the center, down to the corner. To go down here, down to the center, and to the corner. So that one's almost straight. That's okay. Down to the corner, or the center, I'm sorry, down to the corner. Down to the center, to that corner, to the center, to the corner. This one, I'm going to aim for there. So that one, and that one. This one, I'm going to aim for that point. And it's seriously just this same thing on the whole tile. I'm going to flip this 180 degrees and do the opposite. This is how she does the step out. So she does the opposite side. And come around to there, to the corner. Always going to the upper right of the bottom brick, and then from that same point to the center. And if you take your time with this, it's a very meditative tile. It was for me, very relaxing. Once I figured out how to do it, which was to look for the top right corner of the bottom brick, it became easy and relaxing. Okay, for this one, it helps me to put a dot there to aim for. This one will come about right here. And this is a tile that I have cut myself, so it doesn't have the corners, and it's not the exact same color as the Zentangle tiles. But I think that in itself is a very pretty tile, or very pretty pattern. And I think you could do a lot with that, putting some embellishments. But we're going to continue to make our circles. So I'm going to turn it just a quarter turn now and go back to the upper right corner of the bottom bricks and start putting our circles again. And you'll start seeing this come together now. And then you start seeing kind of a pillowy windmill type pattern in the center here, between these orbs that are coming. Yeah, the first couple of times I did it, I was really frustrated. But once it clicked, I thought, oh my, I can do it now. And I wanted to show you what I figured out. This one. Okay. So now each one of these just has one more part of the circle. So I'm going to turn it 180 degrees. And again, go from the corner of the brick that's left. Now we've completed that circle. Bring this one over. The last ones are the easiest to do. Going for there. And here's our last one. All right. So that is the basic pattern. And from there, you embellish it however you want. This is one that I did. Let me zoom out a little bit for practice. Once I figured out how to do the pattern, then, like I said, I had been looking at the Mosaic app, and I would highly suggest, if you have a mobile phone, that you look at the patterns on the Mosaic app because it's really cool to see what other people have done. You don't have to get a subscription, but if you do, then you're able to zoom in and see a little bit more of the details. But these were some of the ideas that I saw. But after a little bit of practice, this was the one that I liked the most. And let me just show you on this tile how I did that. In each of these little sections where we have our bricks, what I did was where we did our first curves, I just divided that in half with another aura and another and here, and they don't have to match exactly, but then I go into the top one and do the same thing. Okay, and here's this arch. I'm going to curve, cut it in half again, and then the same thing up here in this section. Okay, so let's do this one. I'll do a row across here. And then I'll show you how I highlighted it. Again, just move up into this section, divide it in half, again, and again. Here's this arch for this brick, in half again. One more time. And then in this top section, same thing. And these are just simple, repetitive lines. And I find it to be very relaxing once I know what I'm doing. It wasn't very relaxing when I couldn't figure it out. But I was so excited when I clicked with the one thing you needed to do, and that was to just come from that upper right corner of the brick, and then it started working. Okay, now this one. Okay, now the top part. And then it gives just a really pretty pattern here, almost like a star. And then to shade that one, you could do this on any color tile, you know, with any pen. If you're doing this on a white tile with black ink, it's going to be fine. The only difference is that you won't see the white highlight, and that's why I wanted to do this one on the craft paper. But when my video didn't work, I didn't want to do a full video on the same paper, so I thought I'd do the lighter color Renaissance tile. Okay, so I'm just putting the graphite along each of these lines, and at the center where these all meet at the back. Okay, at the bottom. Anytime you have a lot of lines that meet at one place, that's a good spot to add your shadow. Okay, so now I'm going to get my blending stump, and it shows brown, but I ended up using it for black. And then I'm just going to soften this with some little turns, little circles, and push this toward the center, but I'm going to leave that open. I don't want shading on all of it. Again, just soften it, push it toward the center, but leave some of that open. Okay, just keep going. Okay, so now we're going to take our white charcoal pencil and just going to softly draw a line in that open space on each of these. And I'm doing a curve. Just a slight curve on each of these. And I love how it looks like it twists here. And then my tortillon or blending stump that I have marked for white. And I'm just going to soften that line across each one of these. Sorry, I hope that wasn't off the screen. But it's basically the same thing in each one. So there you go. Now it has that highlight like on this. Quite a difference, huh? I just love how shading and the white charcoal on a craft type color tile pops like that. For this one, I am going to get a kind of maroonish or brownish graphite pencil, or not graphite, I'm sorry, charcoal pastel pencil. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to try a different color rather than the graphite pencil. This is a pastel pencil, and it's almost the color of the pen. And I'm not going to add any more lines, extra lines. Oh, real quick before I forget. On that other tile, the other thing that I did was to give some depth to these circles. I just put a little bit of graphite here and then just soften that shadow across here. Okay, and then it really gives it some depth, like you can see on this one. Okay, so back to this one. I am going to basically do the same kind of shading that I did on the other. I'm going to put some graphite on these lines. Coming in and from the bottom. And I might come back and add some extra lines, but since I messed up the video, I'm going to try it this way and see how it comes out. And take, this is a different blending stump that has kind of a brown color on it. We'll pull that in toward the center. And same thing across here. But I'm going to leave that opening. Okay. Soften it. Pull it toward the center. And leave that opening. And I haven't tried this one yet, but I wanted to. All right, now let's get our white and do the same thing that we did. Let's put a highlight across here. And then get my blending stump for white and soften that. This could be fun to do with watercolors. Okay, so I would just continue with this as far as putting my shading coming out from each corner, and then a little bit in the center of each. And I didn't put the center. You can start lightly and always come back and add more. And I'm always going to the spot where I started my curves. So that top right corner of the bottom brick is where I'm adding that shadow. Okay, here's my brick, the circle, adding my pastel. As always, when I'm doing a lot of repeating, you can increase the speed on your YouTube videos so that it goes faster, or you can just pause it or skip forward. I really prefer watching tutorials on a recording for that very reason. I can pause it if I need to, back it up, make sure I know what I'm doing, and then start it again. Okay, not sure if I missed any spots, but let's just go ahead and start pulling this in. I'm going to push that towards the center, but I'm not going to fill it in. I have seen these done to where they look like petals on a flower, either in here or in that section. Okay, I need to keep my fingers off that pastel chalk or end up with it where I don't mean for it to be. And yes, I do just kind of jump around, don't I? To where my eye sees another spot to do, and that's where I go. But I'll get it all. Not always a method to my madness. You can put gemstones in here. I did notice on some of the tiles that I saw in the Mosaic app that some of the artists had done their lines, their grid lines in pencil, so that if they wanted to, they could come back and erase them. So they didn't always have a line in the center of the circles. And that was nice. I've done several of these, just practicing to get it right, to figure it out. And I'm not sure that I want to do more. It's always fun for me to find a pattern and figure out an easy way to do it, and then share it with you. Remember to breathe, relax your shoulders, relax your hand. All right. I think that's going to look better after we get some of the highlight in there. You know, looking at this, see how I have this one going in this direction? You could do your highlight in the other direction, like this. And then take your blending stump and soften it. Okay, so either way you want to do it, you can do your highlights. Not sure which way I like it the best. But I think I'll just, for time's sake, go ahead and do these in a circle. I like how that looks. These will be like this. Oh, I did not add my pastel here. I get the rest of them here. Yes. Okay. Now my white chalk. Okay, for this one, let's see if I can get it to look like it was supposed to go this way. All right, now we're going to soften it. And this one's going to be a little odd, but we'll accept it. Okay. I did have it work out for the other tiles that I did videos for that didn't work. Okay, I'm putting my fingers where I don't have any pastel or white chalk down. So hopefully I'm not smearing it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put a highlight. I'm going to put a shadow down in here. Let's see how that looks if we do it in graphite. What if? So I'm just going to bring that down a little bit for my shadow. Just a little bit past each one of those center points. Don't see much here. You won't see much here. Okay, maybe just a little bit here, a little bit there. And then my blending stump for black. And I'm just going to soften that. And I'm not going to pull it down much. Just soften that edge. It's just a shadow. Try to keep my hand out of the way. I think my shadow looks a little dark. So maybe I didn't need that much graphite. Okay, I have my kneaded eraser here. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that graphite there. I don't want it to take away from the other pastel chalk that I put down. So that's a nice thing about a kneaded eraser, is that you just push it on there a little bit and it just lifts up from the paper without tearing up the paper. Okay, that's better. So here are our tiles. Like I said, just play with it. Here are some ideas of things that you can do. Again, look at the Mosaic app or do a search for the Zentangle pattern windmill and see what others have done, and just have fun with it. All right, thanks. I'm really sorry that this first one didn't work, but I think with this, just remember, start here, flip it, and start here. And that's all it takes to get this pattern done. All right, thanks again. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't, and join me next time. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. Bye.